We're trying to be more positive about AI. We're trying to learn how to pivot, right? Are there new jobs that you predict for this future?
I'm looking for freaking prompt engineers right now. How well are you effectively using AI in your day-to-day? I need to find people that are really effective at understand how the AI platform tools work, how people are consuming information.
They've done their homework. They created the podcast. It is edited to the T. What else do they have to do?
I think a lot of people think the only way to monetize a podcast is advertising and sponsorships. It's not.
Was there a time as an entrepreneur when you felt like you really wanted to give up?
8 or 9 startup companies that I've been involved in, and more failed than were successful. 5 lawsuits, almost personal bankruptcy situation.
5 jobs that you think will be completely taken over by AI in the next couple of years.
Low-level roles will be taken, and I think a lot of senior positions, I don't think you'll need as many people. Like, I don't think you need like a 10-person team. You might only need like 3 people to effectively do their jobs.
As a content creator yourself, do you hate AI?
I enjoy it. I mean, as an agency, it's great. I think it's a lot harder for...
Chirag, thank you so much for joining me here at the Founder Edit. So I don't really know what sequence these clips will come out, but first up, let's just do a brief intro. You know, for people who don't know you and for people who don't know what Mission Matters does, give us like a quick 60-second breakdown.
Yeah, sure. So run a company, Mission Matters, been around for 9 years officially, started 2016. On one side, we're a media platform. Our whole mission is to help others identify their mission and help them accomplish it. So we're a media brand on one side, host events, about 50 to 60 throughout the year. Our platform reaches a couple million people a month. So we're creating a lot of stories, amplifying stories. And then we have a full branding marketing agency on the back end. So helping people figure out what their missions are strategically, and then helping them execute them through books, podcasts, social media, PR, events. And we have this agency side of our business, about 25 people full-time on roster. And then probably helped over 1,000 people, 1,000 projects, clients, to help them kind of figure out or help them execute their mission.
What's your background like, and how did you get into podcasting of all things?
By accident. So I've been in media marketing my whole career. My quick and dirty is born and raised LA, went to USC, started in nonprofit, and which was by accident. This was a volunteer thing I was doing and didn't realize it was going to become my full-time job, and it did. And then did that for a couple years. And social media, Facebook introduced advertising on the platform. We spent some $50 on Facebook ads. We got $100 in donations for the nonprofit. Light bulb moment was seeing, I was like, we're asking for donations. What if you have a product or service and you can target people based on interests, which is kind of what we did. And I was like, shit, I'm asking for money for donations. What happens if I have something that people actually want or need? And then, so light bulb went off and I was like, I need to go all in on the social media thing. So ended up leaving, I was living in Chicago for a couple years, and then I left Chicago, moved back to LA, started a social media agency, and then ended up partnering up with a friend who wanted to start a luxury magazine and basically create the BuzzFeed of luxury. Within 6 months, this platform was reaching about 25 million people a month. And so I became a co-founder in the company, did that for 7-8 years. And we observed what other media brands were doing. So we were like, you know what, look at Forbes, look at Robb Report, and started hosting events. I think we produced about 500 events while I was there for 7-8 years. We're monetizing this, building it up. And then simultaneously, my social media agency became a full marketing company. And we started working with luxury brands. Realized that every company and every individual is a media brand. So kind of like what you see with Mr. Beast today, or like the Logan Paul, Jake Paul, and any of these larger influencers where they're becoming more media personalities, and then they themselves are now businesses, right? Where they own equity stake in a variety of different, companies. And I'm pretty sure Mr. Beast himself alone has, probably generates more revenue than than companies. And I think, can become a multi-mega billionaire or centimillionaire, just at the rate that they're growing and how attention is spreading, basically.
100%.
So that was the silver lining. My co-founder of Mission Matters used to be one of my clients. He was advertising in the luxury publication, and I did a lot of things to help him build his personal brand. as a financial advisor. The goal was turn him into like the Latino Jim Cramer or the Susie Orman in
Yeah.
financial services, and so helped him publish a book, launch a podcast. He was patient zero without us realizing that we're gonna build a company. So it wasn't supposed to be a company. It just kind of fell on in our lap. But I guess that's been most of my life, anyways. It's been very organic.
I love how you described the previous company, the BuzzFeed of luxury. But how did that partnership come across? Did your co-founders find you or did you find them?
We were okay. So when I was running the nonprofit, I was living in Chicago, and I'd come back to LA like every quarter, like during the holidays. And a mutual friend invited me out to just grab dinner, Korean barbecue. And it's like, hey, I have a few friends I'll introduce you to. And so we were hanging out, and then I ended up meeting who ended up becoming my co-founders of what would eventually be Destination Luxury. But we were hanging out, Korean barbecue, and singing until went to karaoke until like 4 in the morning, and just one of those Korea K-Town nights in LA. If anyone's familiar, it's one of those. And we just became friends after that. So we would come back, and then I think every quarter, so I'd keep coming back to LA, and we'd just hang out. We'd shoot the shit, and that's really how it started. So it wasn't like we are trying to work together; just we all became friends, and then the friend circle just kept expanding. And then when I left the nonprofit, like a year or so later, I was doing the social media thing, and then one of our friends ended up kind of connecting us, and then David, who was the original founder, we ended up connecting, and we were co-working together, and we were just kind of helping each other out. And so he helped me get a couple social media clients. I helped him kind of build out the whole media side of the business, where we hired a few interns. They started writing content, and we saw that BuzzFeed was posting almost every 10, 20, 30 minutes. And we're like, okay, we're just going to copy them. And so there's a point where we were creating and posting every 30 minutes on Facebook. And we worked the algorithm in our favor. And so I just got very nitty gritty and technical on like, how the hell do all these algorithms work? And then we even got screwed up. We got completely, fucked over by the Facebook algorithm, just because they had 2 million businesses using their platform to monetize, and Facebook just it was a freemium model, right? Like, post on Facebook and you can make money off of what you post. And then they're like, wait a second. And then they pull the curtain, and they're like, hey, now we launch this algorithm, and you're at our mercy. And now we get to pick and choose how much your content is seen by your own audience. And we were generating about half of our traffic to our website from Facebook directly. And literally, we went from 1 million uniques a month or whatever it was at the time to 500,000. And we literally lost all this advertising. We're like, what the hell just happened? How did this happen? I actually contacted all my friends at Elite Daily, BuzzFeed, and other platforms. And I learned that this was unanimous. It wasn't just us. It was everyone got screwed over. And it was Facebook now trying to make their 100 billion into their IPO that they had at the time, right? And so I was wondering, even as a business owner, how the hell or even as someone who I don't know if I owned Facebook stock at the time or not, but I was trying to understand, how the hell does this business make money? And it wasn't until I realized, oh, all these businesses are relying on Facebook, and now Facebook has everyone by the balls, and they're basically now taking their cut, and now they're $1 trillion company.
Yeah, I mean, everything is kind of pay to play, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I remember Destination Luxury. I mean, you guys did some really cool shit. Like, y'all are on Richard Branson's yacht, partying with these billionaires and doing dinner in the sky. If Destination Luxury existed nowadays, in the age of TikTok, do you think your trajectory would have been different? Do you think maybe the company could still thrive?
Yeah, I completely right. I mean, you look at companies like Hot Living, you look at Rob Report. It would need to evolve, right? Like, I think everything today is very experiential, and that's where the silver lining is, right? Because AI is taking over, and so maybe the content creation side for a lot of what we specialize in, because AI didn't exist before, so you'd actually have to travel to these places and shoot content there, which was what allowed us to build this platform, right? Anyone can now go on AI and they can or steal content or do whatever you need to do, right? But the unique aspect of what we did that kind of moved the needle for us was the community that we built uh, from the events. So it's uniting the events, the content, the community, and I mean, that's what I'm doing right now at Mission Matters, and that's allowed us to build and grow this and scale this whole company. It's doing the things that are really hard and not technically scalable, because that's what allows you to kind of build a business, because not everyone can come in and just host an event, right? It still takes a lot of time, energy, effort to do that. So that's what we would do today. And there's a lot of examples of experiential companies that exist, or even these like luxury platforms that exist. But I think media's changed, right? I mean, you're in the media space too. The landscape's evolved, and a lot of all these journalists or the media platforms are laying off tons of people, and so the landscape for all of us is changing in real time. So,
As as a content creator yourself, do you hate AI?
I enjoy it. I mean, as an agency, it's great. As an agency owner, it's allowed us to be way more efficient, way more effective. Like, I don't have to hire as many people, because like a video editor that I would have to hire previously, like one video editor is 3 times more efficient. So, technically, it allows us to scale up. I think it's a lot harder for freelancers or for like people that are just specialized in one thing. I think that's a lot more scarier, versus if you're just like a full agency. Because even right now, if you're going to take over someone's entire marketing, it's a lot of freaking work. Like, yeah, you can use AI, but it's like handing a doctor a scalpel. Or handing a normal person a scalpel. You think AI is going to show you how to cut someone's body and show you what to do? No, like if you've never done it before, if you've never done marketing before, how do you know if it's actually good or bad? Like your ability to vet something, how do you know if a graphic looks well or advertising copy is, done really well? Are you going to test it out yourself? It's like you're running a company, and then now you're going to do the whole full marketing too. So I don't know. There's a silver lining where it's made our team a lot more efficient. I love AI in short, but I can see how it's scary for a lot of people, and it's changing a lot of jobs and the landscape for sure.
Are there any predictions that you have for the future? Like 5 jobs that you think will be completely taken over by AI in the next couple of years?
Yeah, I don't look, I think there's going to be a lot of low level entry jobs that are going to be taken. So like as a developer, like it's going to be hard as an engineer, like an entry point engineer, right? Because I think a lot of things could be automated by like a mid level person. I think a lot of like basic bookkeeping or accounting services will probably be taken over, because at a certain point it's just a little bit of coding and automations, and so I think some of those jobs will be taken. I think a lot of customer service type roles for sure. Anything that required like chatting, chat bots and things like that, that'll take over. I think even low level sales, like assistant type roles. I think it's a lot of the low level roles will be taken, and I think a lot of senior positions, I don't think you'll need as many people. Like, I don't think you need like a 10-person team. You might only need like 3 people to effectively do their jobs. And I think things will be condensed. And so, anyways, those are like I guess I named 4 different positions, but those are like 4 immediate ones that I can see being impacted like now.
Perfect. On the flip side, because we're trying to be more positive about AI, we're trying to learn how to pivot, right, in this fast changing landscape. But are there new jobs that you predict for this future?
Yeah, look, I'm looking for freaking prompt engineers right now. How well are you effectively using AI in your day to day, right? Like for us, we're bringing in video editors, and I need to find people that are really effective at understand how the AI platform tools work, how people are consuming information, and it's how can you plug in, and how effectively are you at being a prompt engineer with your specific skill set. So as a video editor, how are you using AI effectively to add motion graphics and other skill sets that might be a little bit more difficult or challenging? On the advertising side, right? Like I'm trying to bring in someone else to be like a TikTok specialist to understand how does TikTok shop work and doing it effectively for clients. I think AI is one of those tools where it can level the landscape. But you gotta train yourself to become proficient and effective at it. And there's like thousands of tools that are out there, and then so it's like, how do you become well equipped to become the specialist in that?
How
So
How much do you think a prompt engineer can earn?
Well, that's the thing,
Monthly,
right?
yearly,
Like
like
I think they can, you know, it's like on one hand, it's like you can say, oh, things have gotten a little bit more commoditized, but it's like a really good video editor that's very effective at prompt engineering on top of that and using the skills effectively. They should, man. I think some of them are charging 2 to 3 times more than what they used to charge previously because people need it, right? It's I just basic supply demand principles, but I think the prompt engineers, the ones that are really effective and using AI, can make a premium right now because all businesses need that support. And a lot of business owners don't, are trying to understand how this works, and a lot of times they're running the freaking business, so they don't have the time, so they'll pay for it. And I'm seeing a lot more coaches. I'm seeing a lot more workshops on how to use AI, integrating with AI. But I think there's an amazing opportunity for people to train themselves and then do this for companies, and find yourself effective there.
so prompt engineers can maybe even make up to 6 figures per year.
Yeah. I believe
I'm in
so.
the wrong field then.
Or no, or maybe just because, maybe, yeah. Actually, I think we both are.
So you're in podcasting, and podcasting has existed for, well, ever since the demise of radio, I suppose. And you must have seen this landscape constantly fluctuate. But how do you stay on top of all of these changes?
Yeah, so now I guess you could use ChatGPT to aggregate high level data, but it's literally, I'm just seeing how the industry is moving. So I'm looking at how many more podcasters exist, how many more creators are there in this space, how much more advertising dollars is being put into the ecosystem, and how many more listeners are tuning into podcasts. Like YouTube has officially taken over as the number one platform for podcast listeners now. It's surpassed Spotify and Apple more recently. So you're getting a lot more people watching podcasts, which means video podcasts are taking over because people want to see emotional reactions. They want to see, crazy hand gestures and emotions, and a lot of people are watching and tuning in. And look, by default, YouTube has way more listeners than Spotify and Apple, anyways. So just based off of numbers alone, like, it makes sense. But the whole industry is growing. It's enlarging. I don't think it's getting smaller. And I think a lot kind of like to our conversation earlier, there's a lot of sound bites that you could pull from podcasts that become very effective for social media purposes. And it's the only form of content outside of speaking on stage, which takes a lot more resources, of course, but it's the only form of content creation where you could actually provide full context and actually explain something and elaborate, right? Every other form of content you look at are sound bites. Like, how much can you actually learn from a freaking 10-second, 20-second or like content piece on TikTok or Instagram? You're very limited.
Right. What's the trend on YouTube right now? Do you think people are actually consuming those long form 45 to 1 hour long conversations, or
If it's
is
interesting.
YouTube Reels the way to go?
You can do both, right? I mean, look, you could. We both do this now, right? Like, you create this long form content, and if it's interesting, awesome. You upload it, promote it, and if maybe it's not so interesting, pull the sound bites, pull the 20, 30. You can always find 10, 20, 30 seconds in a content piece, or you can cut the video, right? Get a great video editor, come in and cut up the first 10 seconds, middle of the 10 seconds, third of the 10 seconds, like, somewhere in there, and then now you got a 30-second video that you splice throughout, and you chopped it up, and now you got a whole entire soundbite and social media post that you could create on Reels. In terms of growth, I think they both are important. Like, you need to do Reels, and Shorts for now are still, a lot of people I'm still seeing grow up with using Shorts. I think we've missed the heyday because everyone was copying TikTok, a couple years ago, and you post organically, it's like you get this boom and boost of followers. I think it's gone down. I don't think you're getting that same level of organic traction. You're still seeing it, but it's still very competitive now. Just because there's a lot more people that are like catching on and seeing, what the trends are and how people are, I guess, following and, building their following.
So, what would you advise new podcasters in the industry, people who are just joining the podcast space? What would you advise them to do if, they've done their homework, they created a podcast, it is edited to the T? What else do they have to do? elevate themselves?
Yeah, you got to build a brand around what you're doing, right? So, number one, you got to get good at marketing. So part of that is the social media posts, knowing how the other algorithms work. Number two, creating an email newsletter list, which is huge. Every single time you post a podcast episode, get people to you send out an email, right, to all your friends. You could, if you have a LinkedIn, download all the LinkedIn, and you could capture all the emails on there, right, and or let all your friends know that you have a podcast so they can start tuning in. And so link, sending a newsletter, all the social media posts. You can drive advertising revenue on there. If you want to speak on stage, if your goal is to build a brand and to get your name out there as like an interviewer, you could utilize your podcast interviewing skills to show other people, hey, you could do this on stage too, to get speaking opportunities, moderation opportunities. Spend some advertising dollars, do a little bit of PR. But I mean, there's like six, seven, eight things that I could check off the list if your goal is to actually monetize the podcast. And by the way, I think a lot of people think the only way to monetize a podcast is advertising and sponsorships. It's not. Let's say if you have a product or service that you're offering, right? Like if you have a product, I would totally do like an entire product placement. Like I take this, I'm not sponsored by them, so let's clarify that. But I have this True Niagen pill, and I'm into health and wellness. And so I would have product placement strategically placed in the podcast itself, right? Because then you could promote your brand or your product and try to get some product sales. If you have a service or something else that you're offering, maybe the guest you're interviewing could be a potential client for what you're doing. Actually, I have a client right now that runs a VC fund, and the entire strategy that we gave him is every single guest you interview, make sure they're a potential LP or investor in your fund. And so interview them first on the podcast, build a rapport, build a relationship, and then go get lunch or something after, or go do a Zoom call if you're virtual, and then get them interested, and then just let them know, hey, by the way, you're raising money for a fund. And he actually raised 1.5 million from that strategy that we shared.
I think that's interesting because I think there's actually like a kid that does that on YouTube. I forgot what the channel was called, but I'll have to look it up on YouTube. But there's this kid. I call him a kid. He's like in his 20s, and I think he interviews like VCs with the intention of like
trying to raise money from them.
Yeah, it's
Smart.
genius.
It works. Yeah. I have I think we've launched 250 podcasts. Half of our clients have used that same strategy to get clients or raise capital. And it works really well if you're using it as a relationship building tool. It's a great way to get in front of people because you're building a rapport relationship organically, right? So,
well, thank you so much. You've shared so many incredible tidbits here in this short time that we had. But before I ask the final question, I kind of wanted to backtrack a little bit. But during your whole career, after you graduated from USC, was there a time, as an entrepreneur when you felt like you really wanted to give up?
Yeah, multiple times. I probably ran, I don't know, like 8 or 9 startup companies that I've been involved in, and more failed than were successful. Part of that is I've also been involved in 5 lawsuits, whether I've sued or been sued, and both. I've been on both sides of that. And, I've been in a almost personal bankruptcy situation. So a couple times actually, and then almost company going bankrupt too. So I've been in a lot of those situations, the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows. And that's what entrepreneurship is, right? It's knowing, do you have the stomach to have the state, like be in a state of peace at like whatever the outcome is, because you can't control the outcome, right? Like the goal is you don't want to fail. You're not trying to lose money if you're raising capital for investors, right? That's never the goal, but you just don't know what you run into, right? There's a lot of things that you just don't see, and so it's part of the journey. And my whole thing is, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you have to be willing to bet on yourself. That's the bottom line, right? And that's what I've done throughout my entire career. I've majority of my life I've been an entrepreneur. I don't think I've ever had a proper job actually. So I don't know anything else. This is just all I know how to do. So for me, it made a lot of sense for me. But I would say the biggest thing that I would take into account is a lot of my failed businesses involved other business partners. And for me, it wasn't until Mission Matters that I found, I think, like the perfect one for me. But essentially, it's a marriage. You have to treat it like a marriage because it is, minus the sex, I guess. Or who knows? Maybe you're the person you're married to is your business partner, right? At the end of the day, you have to know how to communicate very clearly. And it's just sometimes you're better off dating and then before you sign the contracts and find your way to work. And that's what I did ultimately with Mission Matters. It wasn't like we started creating a business from day one. It was we actually worked on it. He was a client first. And then we worked on a joint project together where we published a book together. It took us 6 months. And then we published the second book. We published a third book. And then I was helping him build a media brand, and we didn't officially form a company until 2 years later. So it happened extremely organically the way that it happened, because I wasn't trying to go launch a company. And then I realized, oh well, this is like we're battle tested, and we can work together. And then it ended up that's how we ended up working together. Whereas I've had other partnerships where we started working together and then it was like from day one, let's sign some contracts. And it's like, wait, this is not working out. So, it's, I've had the longer ones, and I've had even like one of my first startups right after I left the nonprofit was this social media company. And I think I invested like $2,000. I got paid back 1,000. I think I'm still owed a little bit of money from that prior partner, but we worked together for like a month. And we signed LLC agreements and everything, and it was like, "Fuck, this is not working out." And then I was like, "All right, we'll pull the ripcord. I don't really care about the company. Just pay me back, and we'll call it a day." So
I really like this marriage analogy that you have, right? That each partnership with these co-founders is like a marriage. Every business is sort of like that partnership. So let's say all of your business pursuits were marriages. How many failed marriages did you have, and how many did you think was a really darn successful marriage?
well, I would say the one I'm in right now is successful. 9 years in, right? It's a 9 year marriage. We're still going, as they say. All of my others, I guess technically, I would say some of them we technically dated, and it just didn't work out because we didn't sign paperwork, right? So, are you? I guess in your definition, do you classify this being a marriage because we signed LLC agreements? So the same way in a marriage, you have like a legal contract saying that you're married. Because I've had a
Like
few
a
people I dated where we didn't have LLCs, right? Signed. So technically, we weren't married, right?
I guess it's just always refreshing to know that people have had, failed businesses, right? Like as much as I admire Elon Musk, I think I love hearing that he's had businesses that failed. And like we celebrate his wins, but like what we don't know behind every entrepreneur is like that they've actually failed a lot. So to me, it gives me hope. And I just wanted to know if you had a number, because maybe that will give optimism to someone else who's also struggling.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think businesses I've started that didn't work out, I've started two on my own, which technically I never really got off the ground. Or one just, I think one of them technically is like my holding company. So I use that just to get paid out from other stuff. So it still serves a purpose. But I've had, I think, 7 businesses that have ultimately failed. Or I've technically gotten, like I got an exit technically on my luxury publication, not for the number that I would have wanted, but I still exited that technically. So I don't know. I guess in that case, would you classify that as a failure or is that a success because it led to something else? So
No, but the numbers are really interesting because it's like, I believe in the 80-20 rule. And I think a lot of people, they just give up at the first sign
here's
of
the thing about entrepreneurship.
hardship.
You only need to be right once.
Yeah.
That's it, right? And technically, even with dating, like, you only really need to be right once. Well, hopefully, right? Because I think there's like a 1 in 2 chance that your marriage even lasts, technically. But with entrepreneurship, it's a little different. You only need to be right once because you get that one exit, right? Or you get one company that's get you a stable cash flow business, right? Like, I think a lot of people nowadays are glamorizing, you having to raise millions of dollars and then being the next like Mark Zuckerberg or whatever. And it's like, if you look at the numbers, I think if you make over like a quarter million a year in revenue or have like a high paying job like that, you're technically classified as the top one, if not the top 2% of the world right there. Like you're in the top 1%. So do you always need to be an entrepreneur? No. I mean, I think I would be cool with being employee number 10 at Facebook. I'm sure that guy's worth more than, than most people on the planet. So, yeah, I think entrepreneurship, I guess the number is I've probably failed 7 times. But some of those failures, like one or two of those failures led to Mission Matters. So
You just got to keep dating.
yeah.
What's the number one pitfall that you see a lot of entrepreneurs make?
There, I would say there's a couple, and I'm not sure which one is bigger. Number one, sales. It's just you gotta keep selling, and you gotta look at cash flow. Super important. And you got to know your numbers in and out. Meaning you got to know how much it costs. I've seen businesses fail just because the margins were just not correct from day one, and they weren't charging enough, or their expenses were too high, and they didn't look at the numbers. And it's like this was not a profitable business. You shouldn't have started this from day one. The second is if you have a business partnership, you have to be really good at communicating, and you have to have like crystal clear boundaries. Just because I've had a couple of failed business partnerships and I've learned a lot of lessons from that, and then like what to carry forward into a new one. And sometimes you don't need a business partnership either. Like you could do things on your own. So it comes down to, knowing yourself as much as possible. Third thing is burnout. You can avoid burnout because I burned out too. And I think I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs set aside self-care, their health, their like family and other things just to go 100% all into the business, which is what I did probably the first 10 years of my like work career.
Yeah. So what do you do when you feel burned out?
So I do this every day, and this is like my self-care routine that I've programmed for the last 4 years. And it's only for me, it's every day I think I work out like 5-6 times a week. So I need at least minimum 1 hour, and I do it undistracted, meaning my phone is not with me. Or it's off, or it's on airplane mode, and I'll just listen to music. And this is like my 1 hour uninterrupted time. I do 5-minute daily meditations. I try to do 20 to 30 minutes if I can daily. And then I try to sleep properly. I don't get the best sleep. This is an area that I've been lacking in, but it's sometimes, at least if not every day, I'll try to at least 1 or 2 times a week. I'm going to get my full 9-10 hours, or I have to recuperate because otherwise I go crazy. I know I make really bad decisions on if I'm like lacking sleep. I know I do. I've seen it time and time again. So it's sleep, it's healthy food. I eat pretty damn clean. So I don't put junk into my system, which keeps me fueled. And then I do spend time at least once or twice a week with family or friends to like get out of like my own headspace. So there's a lot of things. There's like 2 to 3 hours a day from like I have. That's like my me time. And this I implement as much as I can. And even if I can't get the full 2 to 3 hours, even if I can get like 30 minutes to 45 minutes, that's enough for me to know that I can at least last. And that's a daily win for me. So I have my self-care. I have like all these boxes I check off for myself. If I can do all of them, awesome. But I'm just grateful that I get a chance to do any of them. And because I can do that, it fuels me the next day. And I've been able to last like this for like the last 3 years I don't feel an ounce of burnout.
Would you be okay if us producers inserted some of your pictures of you working out or whatnot? Because I don't think the audience can see this, but Chirag is actually jacked. He's got these like calluses on his hands from all like the lifting and stuff. Like you can't tell on screen, but he's like the real deal.
What's funny is so I'm actually I have a client that I'm working with right now. I'm a client of theirs too, and they're a health longevity company, and we've been doing like 3-month increments, and so I have like like there's certain goals. Once that goal's hit, then I've never actually taken a photo of me working out, or I'll take photos intentionally of weights of me being in the weight room, but there's no photo of me anything outside of like a business shirt or like a normal t-shirt or something. So
Gotcha.
it will go public, but there's like a little strategy that I'm
All
deploying on the
right.
back end.
You know
So you
what?
can
I'm
do
just
that in the
gonna
future. You can take that in the
I'm gonna
future.
take your face and I'm gonna put it over AI.
Put it over Brad Pitt's body. Yeah. Go become a prompt engineer. Let's see how good you are.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Chirag. This is the last question that I would like to ask every guest. What do you think is a rising industry? So, in China, for instance, one of the rising industries we see is like personal education. So, like one AI agent per child, things like that, or the pet industry, kind of random but wholesome. So, my last question to you is, do you foresee any rising industries, any rising
Oh
trends
yeah.
that we should all be aware of right now?
Health, wellness, longevity. I going all in on that. Funny enough, 25-30% of our clients, which is our biggest vertical that we cover within Mission Matters, my personal interest, I think we're going to start seeing a huge rise in people taking control or taking more action in trying to become healthier. And so there's a lot more people that will pay to eat healthier foods, to know and become more aware of what they're putting into their body, in working out, and in living longer and living healthier. There's a trend on that now, and I don't think it's a trend. I actually think it's going to last longer, and I believe people actually. You look at the dollars; people are spending way more money now on their health and wellness than other things. And less, in the U.S. at least, people are drinking less and less now too. So that's all part of it. So anyway, that's going to increase. I believe the psychedelic industry is whenever that gets legalized, that's going to skyrocket. So there's a whole trend there. Pet industry, massive. The numbers clearly show it. And I think there's going to be a education for sure, self education, because I think schools just and bureaucracy, too much politics and bullshit there. It's just going to take way too long to catch up with how fast technology and AI moves. And I think you're going to see a lot more people become like self-starter, entrepreneurial type of people because there aren't going to be as many jobs. So people got to somehow, provide opportunities. And believe it or not, I think there's going to be a lot of growth. If we're talking regionally, there's going to be a lot of growth in Africa over the next like 5, 10, 20 years. I think that's like under tapped market. And then I think we're going to still see a lot more personal branding. I think that's going to skyrocket. You're going to see a lot more people trying to become the next Mr. Beast. And there's going to be a whole growth there where you're going to see the rise of like personal, like people becoming business empires. You know that Jay-Z quote? I'm not a businessman. I am the businessman. I think that like literally is about to happen right now.